What's up, gamers? We are back with some more modern action. This time we've got some Affinity versus Hardened Scales. Two artifact-based decks with two slightly different strategies, especially because this Azorus Affinity, the blue-white Affinity, is the Thopter combo style. The deck that I have so much fun trying to make work on MTGO whenever I get a chance to be able to play some leagues. I keep tweaking and doing it, partly because I am lucky enough to be an MTGO content creator, but also because I don't have very many Mox Opals, which really helps push the deck and allow you to be able to do some shenanigans with it. But let's see how things go here. This is really gonna help set the tone of what you're playing against, because somebody playing against just a blue-white surveil land, you might think, okay, cool, could be some sort of control shell, especially blue-white control is piling up and becoming more popular. There's also the Jeskai list that exists, but seeing the Sword of the Meek go right to the graveyard, you kind of already are like, oh, okay, I know what I'm playing against. And then seeing a turn 1 Hardened Scales on the other side, you kind of are in that, oh, cool, I know what I'm playing against. Now, there are specific high priority cards that both of these players need to be focusing on when they're going into this thing. So, of course, it is like, okay, Hardened Scales makes a lot of stuff. If we can get rid of Hardened Scales, great. And we see it right away. All right. Oh, it's like they're moving aside. Maybe it's getting taken out right away. But yeah, I think that it was the debate. Do we go for it? Yes, we'll go for it. Portable Hole is one of those. Portable Hole is great in a Affinity type list. That's the blue-white, which is basically like a blue-white control style. You control the battlefield with things like Portable Hole. It helps us deal with creatures, helps us deal with permanents, and you really can kind of utilize it with Urza to get mana. Also, with like constructs being made off of the Urza saga and stuff, it just helps out. But we see, okay, the potential combo exists. Let's do an Agatha Soul Cauldron here. So we talked about Hardened Scales being a high priority card. Agatha Soul Cauldron is another high priority card to be aware of and worried about. The other, of course, is the Arcbound Ravager. That really is your ability to manipulate and move counters around and go for a win. The Inkmoth Nexus is kind of a, the red flags should be flying up. The alarm bell should be going off when you're seeing something like that, because you're like, oh, okay, they could just win out of nowhere if they get the right draws and stuff. All right, there we go. Eat the sword. Malevolent Rumble. We see how good of a card this is. Let's grab a Hardened Scales again. You see Ancient Stirring. So this is, we've seen a couple variations of Hardened Scale lists on the channel before. We've seen some red-green versions. We've seen some blue-green versions. We've seen kind of this like mono-green style that we're seeing kind of right now. Depending on which versions you are, that gives you a little bit more flexibilities. There are a little bit of flex cards in it. Patchwork Automaton, depending on what version you're running, right? If you are running, like the blue-green, you might not run the Patchworks because you're running something else. But hey, would you like to use this construct instead of your Pokemon? Yeah, let's do that. All right, so Construct's power is currently 2, and then we can be able to increase it because we got the Urza Saga ticked up to 3 here. But, of course, if you guys are liking the content that we do have content every single week, twice a week, every Monday and Thursday. That number will increase soon to some Saturdays. We keep talking about it with some MTGO content. Definitely will be picking up a lot more come summertime. We've got, big plans for content creation when school is out and things become a little bit easier there with freeing up the schedule. Right now it's just work is nonstop, so school year is chaotic, as you guys might imagine. But we do have some travel plans coming up as well. MTG Vegas is coming up in the summer, so we will be traveling. This will be our first time going to that. Yep, let's see, what are we searching for? What's the pop? Cannot get Portable Hole because it has to be specifically a colorless artifact. So even though we're running Portable Holes and stuff, you can't go tutor for them. So if you're new to the deck or picking it up, that is one of the things. Ooh, Pithing Needle is going to be the choice here. So we can just say, all right, Agatha's Soul Cauldron is not available to you. Now, both of these lists are those kind of mid-tier Mox Opal lists. With the ban list coming up next week, we are pretty much everybody knows that Underworld Breach is going. We've talked a little bit. We put a post up. We're going to start posting more with some polls and stuff like that over on the YouTube channel. But if you have not, we've kind of talked about what do you expect to have happen. We posted up 2 cards in particular that we think are going to get potentially unbanned. Maybe if not this time, but in the future. Because, Emery of the Lock coming out. Let's see if we get anything. Then we'll continue our discussion of the ban list here. All right. A Mox Opal, the sweet Dan Frazier art for it. A Mishra's Bauble, and then a Pyrite Spell Bomb and a land. Very cool, very cool. Gives us a little bit of flexibility. If we need mana, we got mana. If we need card draw, we get card draw. If we need removal, we got removal. So yeah, you can see why it's kind of a little bit more of a control-y style and why I really like the list. And why I like to play it a lot online, because it does really well against the low to the ground stuff. It has a hard time against big mana decks. Like if you're playing against a Eldrazi type deck, this might be having a harder time here. So bring the beats. Three damage. The Pithing Needle not quite on camera. You can see just the very edge of it right where our banner with our social media links are there. But let's continue talking a little bit more about kind of the upcoming ban list. Hardened Scales coming up. Creature. Oh, just kidding. No, Metallic Rebuke gonna put a stop to that. But the ban list, we mentioned some cards that we think could potentially get unbanned in our post. Specifically, we were looking at maybe a Deathrite Shaman, maybe a Jitte, something along those terms. I foresee a Deathrite Shaman getting unbanned at some point. It helps us pull double duties. I mean, yes, it might help ramp up certain strategies and get things going, but we have so many mana dork stuff that like Delighted Halflings and stuff like that. I don't foresee it being too much of an issue, and if we're spending our resources to mess with our opponent's graveyard or manipulate our graveyard, I don't think Deathrite is as oppressive of a card that it is in our current stages. Plus, Modern in the current iteration of the format really does feel like, if you're looking at the overall health of Modern, it feels like it's in a good spot after we get the Underworld Breach banned. Right? Like, we know that's going to be the case, but I don't think Mox Opal is going to get banned. That is, of course, going to be casted up here. But I think we're going to be in this stage where we can be able to have a mix and in a really solid, fun format of, hey, the format's stable again, where we get these low trickle of cards from new set. Like, think about the Ketramos, right? That's one of those cards that's like, those are the kind of tools and things that get added in and could create new strategies or new decks, but also unbanning cards so you can have that mix of old school Modern and new school Modern and allow players to start brewing and finding new strategies and doing tweaks. It's great. I think before Modern Horizons 3, we had these, before the Modern Horizons sets at all, right? 2018, 2019, like even earlier, the early stages, the idea of a Modern Horizons set was very exciting because there was such a slow trickle of cards into the Modern format that it was like, yeah, we need that big influx, these specifically designed cards for it, where I don't think we do necessarily anymore. I think it's like, other than we get the big shakeups and things kind of blow up and become a whole big thing every single time, but I think it's more of, we get to explore these ideas with so many sets coming out that it's just like, yeah, there are tools that players can get. Like, Shoot the Sheriff and stuff from Thunder Junction. Like, there are cards people are finding that they're putting in their list that, you know, if people are looking, they can find tools. So I like the idea of going back. I think the 3 Modern Horizon sets, we've gotten some crazy tools, but I think we can hold off. I don't want it to be 2 years from now and they go, all right, Modern Horizons 4. I don't know. We'll see. You let me know. Do you feel like we should just keep going, keep printing every 2 years, and keep it as a rotating format like that, or let it stabilize for a little bit and see, do we just get the consistency of crazy stuff and fluctuations with it, or will the meta become too stale with these are the best decks? I don't know. I mean, there's always going to be a best deck, right? There's always going to be a deck that people are like, yep, this is, you know, that 12, 15% of the meta, right? Sometimes we get up to even higher numbers, 20, 25%, because it clearly is the best deck, and then we kind of address it. I think also, like, the cycle of bans should change too, instead of it being like, yep, you're going to have to wait a couple months and just deal with Nadu being around, or just deal with Energy being around, like, deal with the one, like, there's these moments that it's like, yeah, no, we should really not have to deal with it. But all right, getting back to this game, we're seeing a bit of a kind of lockup here of Hardened Scales attempting to produce and set themselves up, get some threats, get something to go on the battlefield here and make something work, but a lot of it just keeps getting destroyed. And guess what we're getting back? The Spell Bomb. Pyrite Spell Bomb. And this is the thing. It's like, we don't normally see this happen, but having this line available, like, I know that this Azorius Affinity player runs, you know, other stuff. Oh, hey, Thopter Foundry. So this is the combo. If you're not familiar with it, if you have Thopter Foundry and Sword of the Meek together, and a way to continually generate mana, an Urza, Kark Clan Ironworks doesn't exist anymore, but, you know, an Urza specifically, you can tap your Sword of the Meek, generate a blue mana, use that blue mana to sacrifice the Sword of the Meek, putting it in the graveyard, creating a 1/1 Thopter. It will then trigger Sword of the Meek to return it from the graveyard, attach it to the Thopter. Rinse and repeat. You gain 1,000,000 life until you decide to stop, and you make 1,000,000 Thopters that you can attack your opponent with the next turn. Now, they don't have haste, so you do have to kind of keep that in mind, but that is relevant to it. That's one of the ways that to win. But you notice that the deck doesn't have to, it's not an all-in combo. All right, it's just a couple of tools and pieces that exist within the deck. It's just grinding right now. And all right, here's an Emery, here's a Pyrite Spell Bomb, and this Pyrite Spell Bomb doesn't just have to hit creatures, but right now we're just going in the creature mode. So of course, Urza Saga making the construct and going for the beats is really what we're trying to do as our way to close things out. And we do, of course, have the Market Back Walker help us to draw some cards. Not having access to the Soul Cauldron really does hurt. So the Pithing Needle, hitting that is a necessity. Without the Pithing Needle, you know, things would be much worse. The Pirate Spellbomb would not be able to continue to come back, so that would shut that line down. But let's see how we're doing things here. Patchwork Automaton, followed it up with the Market Back Walker, putting a counter, of course, on that. The ward does help, and it is relevant, but again, more and more threats. Okay, so our Affinity players kicking themselves like, I don't know why I didn't make another construct. That's annoying, but all right. Yeah, so here's the thing. We were talking about the Pirate Spellbomb. You can use Mox Opal to help you cast the sack it for the 2 damage, or there's like that Steam Vent in here. Nice little one of, just like splash the little bit of red. We don't need to commit too much to it. It's really just mainly a blue deck to be able to utilize things like the Metallic Rebuke, Urza's, things like that. The lines Hardened Scales have here really is we need an Arcbound Ravager to break the tie up. Oh, okay. Urza, Lord High Artificer. Hitting the battlefield. That gives us at least another construct. Trigger, ETB, make a construct. Make a Pokemon. Alright, which Pokemon is that? Who knows? Who can tell me? If you know... Alright, there's a little hint with that kind of cross across the face of the Pokemon. We've talked about it all the time. Like, what do you like to use for tokens? Are you like all about using the specific Wizard Sanction ones? Are you drawing your own? Are you using Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Are you using One Piece cards? What are you doing for your tokens? All right, what do we get back here? Pyrite, Spell Bomb. I mean, there's nothing else, right? We're just left with that. Because the Sword of the Meek is exiled. I wish we had a dice on the construct, but we're getting the count here, and we're starting to, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, doesn't matter. We'll do some blocking. Draw a card. Yeah, we're digging. We're digging. We know there's the Spell Bomb that we got to worry about. Gemstone Cavern. Bladed Bloodsheet. Oh, that's the other thing that this list runs that most lists don't, is this really cool idea that whenever a creature dies, put a +1 counter on equipped creatures. We've seen the Brood Scale combo on the channel before, but we're going to just put a stop to that. Kill that off before we have to worry about it. No instant speed equipment here. You can only equip at sorcery speed, so you can't do too much. But we'll blow up this, and we'll pay for the ward costs. All right, what do we got? Again, Arcbound Ravagers would be really nice. Hey, there we go. Quip here. That's fine. Yeah, again, if we had access to the Agatha Soul Cauldron, things would be much better. We could start giving our stuff a little bit more power. Now, we specifically are tapping things here to keep our Pendelhaven available. All right, the singleton, one of Pendelhaven in here, help make stuff a little bit bigger, survive Spell Bomb, be able to survive, Bowmaster, do, things that could just start poking and prodding and shredding our board a little bit here. We wanted to be able to keep an Ink Moth alive. Doesn't look like we'll be able to do too much with it, though. Like, again, we need a bunch of things to die. Like, we could sack the Soul Cauldron, we could sack the Blade, and yeah, let's get the Spell Bomb. So 2 extra counters is 3, sack it to itself is 4, move the 4 onto Ink Moth, that's 5 damage, a 2-turn clock. Oh, but then we also need a blocker to deal with these 2 constructs coming our way. And with Spell Bomb back, we can't, like, our line disappears, right? Because now that the Spell Bomb is here, if we try to block and then activate it at instant speed and then start sacrificing stuff, basically, there's a window where your opponent waits until they try to do the modular, right? They could sack and eat all these things, and we're fine with it. But the moment that they start to go, okay, I'll sack this, modular trigger, move these onto my Ink Moth, you go, oh, okay, kill the Ink Moth, right? Because you don't have enough mana. If we had 1 more mana, we're okay, because then we could activate the Ink Moth with the extra mana and still have Pendelhaven for backup. We don't anymore. Yeah, right? It's like that super risk. So we just let it die. All right. How do we get out of this? Or is this just like, okay, we've grinded enough, let's go to game 2? I think that's the thing about Hardened Scales, is there's always the potential to just win out of nowhere. So, you're sitting here and trying to find the lines and trying to sit here and work through this puzzle that is the deck, where you are staring down a constantly recurring graveyard spell, the Pyrite Spellbomb, that normally you could have been able to answer if the Pithing Needle didn't shut it off. So it's like, is just the more controlling one better, or is it just drawing better? What is it here? Oh, another Arcbound though. Again, we want to activate Blaze of Bloodchief, but we want to have the mana available. Because what does that give us? 2, 3? 3 counters is not enough. Ooh, Walking Ballista. Do we respond? Do we blow up anything? We're okay right now. All right. Do we blow anything? No. No blowing up yet. Yeah, right? It's like both players are sitting here and trying to anticipate the potential wizard battle of the stack getting a little bit crazy with things, but not going to be happening right now. Both players are sort of in this, anticipating and evaluating what they've got on the battlefield, as well as, what they've got kind of prepared for the following turn. Yep, let's do it. Spellbomb. All right. Of course, Pendelhaven helps us here, but that means that we don't get to activate an Ink Moth in response. So now on the following turn, yes, we got to eat something. I mean, if our goal is to keep the Arcbound alive, we really needed to eat everything. But the problem is we need blockers, right? There's 2 constructs coming at us. All right, Pyrite Spellbomb back again. I feel like I've edited that into this video more times than any other card because of how many times it was cast. Oh, another Urza. Let's get rid of our recast, but really we're just getting another construct off of it, and that way we can be able to increase the power of all of our other constructs that we've got. And there's the Spellbomb. So I'm pulling up this card in particular, Punishing Fire, because that's basically what happened this game. And the reason why I do not want to see this unbanned, where many people have been like, oh, it'll be fine. People run a little bit of life gain, right? Nothing to worry about. But with how much a creature deck is shut down by continually replaying a specific removal spell, like normally there is a downside to using your resources and playing them in specific situations, right? You need to prioritize certain threats, but having Pyretic Spellbomb or Punishing Fire that you don't have to commit as much makes it like a non-game almost. So, we wanted to talk about that because Wizards is working on unbanning things, and that discussion about, Punishing Fire comes up, at least at my LGS. That, this idea that, oh, it might be fine, the 2 damage isn't that much. It's that's not the issue. The reoccursion is the issue here. But we sadly had to get a mulligan down for a Hardened Scales player, and we've got a Tameo, Mishra's Bauble here. Now, the way that this is set up is if you want to commit all of your resources, you pop the Bauble on your opponent's turn. And then on your following turn, you draw off Bauble, draw for turn, and then immediately pop the clue after you attack. 3 draws, and immediately on turn 2, you have a Planeswalker flipped. Does that help us? Well, not really. I mean, I guess it would weaken the automaton, but we know the automaton's going to get bigger, right? We anticipate artifacts getting thrown down. In other matchups and other decks, that could be very relevant. I think because we are so focused on building up our, affinity count. Like, I love the Pokedex as our clue token. That's amazing. All right. Let's do it. Let's bring the beats. So, we did not go for the line for turn 2 Tameo flip, but it was there and it was available. So definitely something to note, because sometimes players will do that and then there's like, oh, I don't have any way to deal with this, and now I got to commit extra resources to doing that, and it makes it even harder. Pithing Needle going to come down, naming Inkmoth Nexus to cut off some lines, prevent that sort of turn 2 explosion of, well, let's just going to chip away at you with this, or start blocking the Tameo, because that would be really annoying, right? Start keeping that available, do some blocks, strip away a little bit of life, make it even harder and harder to do the things that we need to do. Yeah, well, there's the debate. What do we go for? Oh, no. Sideboard cards, wear and tear coming in, destroying an enchantment. That's already mulligan down, and getting that kind of blowout there really hurts. Go for Hardened Scales? Yeah. Hardened Scales, no extra increase to the power, no extra artifacts here. That's fine, but we're basically setting up for the following turn. Which, if we had the Urza Saga, we probably would have been able to drop something down for 2 extra mana there and utilize our mana efficiently. But, hey, there's the Bauble. We might be committing here now. Draw. Draw for turn. Oh, do we miss the draw? We did! Make a clue, aka Pokedex. What do we got to follow it up? Are we going to start getting rid of the... Yeah, there it is. All right. As you can see, Portable Hole gets dropped down, and we'll just strip away that. That's the thing about this list, right? The Hardened Scales goal is to set up a bunch of machines and high synergy cards on the board where there's the Pyrite Spellbombs back. The Azorus Affinity, the Blue-White Affinity, the Thopter combo deck is really just like, yeah, I don't care as much. Yeah, I'll build up my board, but it's just going to be artifacts that have already done their job or will do their job, like, done their job in the sense of, like, I got a Pithing Needle, right? I got a Portable Hole, but... Ooh, Margaback Walker. Trigger. And then there's the pass. Fetching with the Breeding Pool. And Urza Saga ticks up to 3. I mean, this game really... Not only did we get the mull to 5 there, I had to put 2 back, but, like, the amount of hate that our Hardened Scales player has to fight through here is making this really difficult. I mean, we don't have the recursion of Spellbomb this time, or at least not yet. Right? It's Tamio's getting us a lot of clues. I wonder how many Kappa Cannoneers the deck runs. All right. But no Emery of the Lock. Let's do this. So we're going to make a construct. Yeah. All right, what are we searching for now here? Urza Saga resolves. We didn't make a construct this time. Mox Opal, maybe? All right. Sitting up a little bit more. This game is a little bit, slower, more methodical, a lot more planned out. And sometimes when you have like these, very intricate setup deck. Oh, okay. That'll do it. Shadow Spear going to be the card of choice here. So equip creature gets +1/+1 trample lifelink. Costs 2 to equip it. Helps when your opponent is just trying to chump block a lot, and now we've got a way to kind of break that stalemate a bit. There's the Urza, Lord High Artificer. Make a construct, make a clue. That, oh my gosh, that thing is going to get ginormous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7/7 right now. Becomes an 8/8 when equipped. All right. Oh, Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Trigger. We also have a way to start sacrificing things. No Arcbound Ravager, though. That's the scary thing. That would really start messing us up. We need a way to get rid of the Pithing Needle, and then we could try to win off of a Inkmoth Nexus. Luckily, our Market Back Walker does have the ability to draw us cards. So the ward is nice, and every time we cast an artifact, it's not. I'm pretty sure it's cast, not entered, right? Let's find out. Automaton, Patchwork Automaton. Let's do some search. Patchwork Automaton. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, put a +1 counter on it. It's got ward 2 as well. So not ETB effects, just that. All right, bring the beats. Of course, make another clue. So this will be gotten a little bit bigger. Whew, 10 power right there. 9 artifacts plus the +1 from the equipped Shadow Spear, which Shadow Spear has gone up in price like crazy. We talked about that on the Jund Saga video that we put out there. Or maybe it's not equipped. No, it is equipped, right? Didn't we equip it? Did I forget to increase the life total? Hey, mistakes were made, y'all. We forgot that. That's okay. Don't tell anybody. Keeping track of life totals and editing and doing all of this at once is making my brain a little fried. Mistakes were made. So again, with the lifelink, the lines out of here are: we need to kill the Pithing Needle. We need... Oh, there we go. Okay, I did adjust the life totals. we fixed it. We fixed it. It all worked out. Never doubted myself. Uh-oh. Response Do we got the stifle? Stifle's not legal, but there's a consigned to memory that exists with the search trigger. I mean, consigned is still, great card. Even when Underworld Breach is banned and Grinding Station goes away, I still recommend running. If you're running at least 2 in the board, if you've got access to blue, you'll be happy. The Eldrazi deck is going to be a powerful one. We've seen the new Ugin Planeswalker. That's going to be a problem. So let's see how we respond to things. Bam, bam, bam. Draw a card. Get some mana. Oh, I was like, do we get... Yeah, okay. It's like the Blade was coming up there, but that's not really what we need to help us. Like, Blade is like a win more, or, if we have an Arcbound Ravager or something like that to really manipulate and do things, the Blade snowballs. Zabaz lets us get a little bit more flexibility in how we're setting things up. Ooh, a Haywire Might. Let's increase this as well. Still got some mana available. I mean, I don't know how many cards our Affinity player has in hand, but probably a couple. We're down to 1 card, 2 mana. All right, let's do it. All right. Let's get rid of the Shadow Spear. No more lifelink. No more trample. Now we can get a little bit of chump blocking in. Let's turn the rest of our creatures into Haywire Mites, so we can get rid of the construct. I mean, I guess we could have gotten rid of the construct instead of the blade. All right, instead of the spear. Sorry, the Shadow Spear. That would just kind of buy us a little bit more time. And if they're swinging in for like 1 damage or 2 damage, that's not as scary as 10 damage. Because in this case, like, we still have to block it, right? And that doesn't let us progress as much toward our goal of, Ink Mothing and stuff. Oh, modular. Let's do it. We now get rid of the Pithing Needle here. All right, still have the Ink Moth. Yeah, so you see some math counting up, trying to figure things out here. What does our Affinity player get available? I don't know. I think maybe because I'm such an infect player at heart, my lines are always like, how do I kill you with this Ink Moth Nexus? Instead of regular damage, right? I'm just like, yeah, let's do it this way. Let's find this line. Oh. Portable Hole. Let's pay the ward costs. And now all those counters that we modulared over there to try to have a bigger, beefier blocker is not going to work out as well. But now we can use the Haywire Might ability to get rid of the construct. Oh, get rid of a previous portable hole to now get us back one of our Hardened Scales and hoping to go that route. I don't know how many hits we can take. Like, look at this. Another uptick here with the clues. 5 clues out. Portable hole. activate, and we... yeah, it's like we... dang. We want to be able to do some blocking, but it's also like we can't really... Like, our lines are slipping through our fingers here. Oh. Active player turns 0. It's been a while since we've gone to turns. And you might be looking at it, this video's only been 40 minutes. Well, that's because we cut out the sideboarding and some of the beginning shuffling and rolling dice and doing things like that. Like, there's a good 10 minutes that have gotten cut from this video. But it is a lot of the thinking, the baiting, the planning, which line is best to set us up. And especially if you're newer to a deck, taking the extra time can be beneficial until you learn the lines. You know, we've been putting a little bit more videos up lately of players that are learning new decks and doing things. You know, Modern is full of so many different decks. Some of these players have been playing their decks for a very long time and they know the lines, right? You see, you know, our Hardened Scales player in particular, she keeps prioritizing specific things to target, right? With the Haywire Might and stuff like that, where I'm just like, oh, kill this construct and stuff for not having as much reps with the deck as she does, to be able to go, oh, these are my live draws. These are the lines that I'm trying to position myself towards to set myself up for success and victory here. Where, you know, that there's also that it being in the moment, what do you notice and how do you prioritize things? So, all right. Active player turn 0 right now on our Affinity player's turn. There are 5 turns that go back and forth. After 5 turns, if neither player has won, it is a draw between it. But if you already have a win, if you won game 1 and get a draw here, that still counts as you being the victor. So that would be an 1-0-1 when it comes to reporting. If that's the case. Who knows if that's the case here? All right, our turn 1. 4 life left again. So that's why it's like, if... Okay. We get this. 2 counters on it. We got to hope that survives. Oh, interesting. Drawing 2. Looking for a way out of here. Land... Pass. I don't know. Was it like, should we have just killed the construct and hope to drag it out? There's Blade of the Blood Chief. I mean, I guess we're in time anyway, so we would have to have won. We have to win this game, so it's like trying to draw towards the win. And I feel like the only way of doing that was with the Ink Moth. All right, untappies. All right, turn 2. I mean, oh, yeah, that's true. Flipped over Tameo, return a instant or sorcery. There just so happens to be a wear and tear in the graveyard, so that's cute that you want to activate this Ink Moth, this artifact creature that will just die. Yeah, even if I sit here and activate this, you will just cast the wear and tear and get me. Fuse it, blow up my Hardened Scales, blow up my Ink Moth Nexus, whatever. Oh, and look at this. There was a consign in hand, too. So anything that we were worried about. And an Emery, ugh. That's rough. That is rough position to be in. I mean, it's tough to mold a 5 against like a control style deck that can try to, you know, also beat you down with constructs and kind of have threats and go about things. I think this was a tough showcasing for Hardened Scales, but not really showing that the deck is a bad deck. That sometimes the matchups don't go the way you want it to, the draws don't go the way you want it to, which makes it even harder. But we see a little bit of the sideboard stuff that the players were bringing in there. But hope you all enjoyed that one. That is, of course, our Thursday episode for you all. Which artifact deck did you like the most? The Affinity one, the Hardened Scales, which one was it? But, of course, we do have more action coming out every Monday and Thursday. So thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next game.